Hello, cats and kittens. Orewa Jose Yoroshiku. Back in the crisis corner, and you'll notice that I'm wearing a Superman shirt. So the obvious question is, why are you wearing a Superman shirt? The obvious answer is, I'm Superman. Okay, I'm not Superman, but the point is this. I'm doing a review of Man of Steel. I did a review of Wonder Woman, which you can see on my page down below. Wonder Woman was a fantastic movie. The best the DC Cinematic Universe has produced so far. So we're talking about Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman. So starting with Man of Steel. I just 10-15 minutes ago finished watching it. Man of Steel was a lot better than I thought it was. And I've seen it a number of times. But every time I looked at it, I just looked at it as, oh, it's another one of those Zack Snyder movies that look good and really, lack substance or whatever. When you look at Man of Steel, you can't, in my opinion, again, this is all my opinion, you can't look at Man of Steel as a strictly superhero movie, which to me is part of its brilliance. It's a first contact movie featuring a superhero. In that context, in my opinion, it's brilliant. It's very, very good. Now, I have issues with it, but just breaking it down bit by bit. A lot of people say that the opening sequence on Krypton was bloated exposition, blah, 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 whatever. Again, looking at it as a first contact movie, you have to throw out the idea that, oh, there have been a lot of Superman movies and everybody knows his origin or blah, blah, blah. You look at it from the context of somebody who doesn't know who Superman is. Maybe it's only 15 or 20 of them left on Earth. But say you didn't know who Superman was, or you didn't know exactly how Superman came to Earth, or blah, blah, blah. So, looking at it under that microscope, the opening scene was necessary. You could say maybe it wasn't necessary, but it did give context to the rest of the film. Within that opening setup, that opening sequence, the only things that I take issue with, the concept of the codex, slightly. But the thing with this skull sitting around somewhere and energy is coming off of it, and then all of a sudden the little babies are born in these little matrix looking birth pods. They could have tightened that up a little bit to make it a little more understandable, but so be it. Just that sequence, I think Michael Shannon absolutely shines as General Zod. And I thought Russell Crowe did an excellent job actually as Jor-El. Getting past the initial sequence, the downfall of Krypton, they then launch into a nonlinear coming of age set of sequences for Kal-El. What did he do when he got to Earth? You see, obviously he crashed by the Kent's farm. How did he come up? How did he become the man that we eventually know as Superman? Those sequences I thought were fine in and of themselves. The nonlinear approach adds to the it takes the movie away from just being a straight superhero movie to almost like a documentary style telling of this alien's upbringing, which makes it a bit maybe overly serious. That could be a problem for some. I thought that was my problem with it initially. I thought it took itself entirely too serious. But if I'm weighing that up against Richard Donner's Superman or the early Batman movies with Michael Keaton, okay, fine. Those movies didn't take themselves seriously at all. They were superhero movies, period. There's more sophistication to this attempt at Superman, and I appreciate it in the light of it being a first contact movie. The way that Kal-El came up, Clark, his the fact that Jonathan was looking at the bigger picture. What happens when people find out that aliens exist? I never gave that enough credit as a subplot to the movie. The world dealing with the fact that aliens exist. It's a powerful thought. And it's Superman is just used as a context, a vehicle to exploring that idea. But initially, when I heard Jonathan say that when Clark saved the school bus full of children, and Clark asked him, what should I have done? Just let them die? And Jonathan says, maybe. I was outraged. I was like, what father would tell their son that? But looking under the context of, and it's staring me right in the face the whole time, but I just really didn't pay attention to it. Yeah. What will people do when they find out that this person is in fact an alien? He could have passed himself off as just being a superhuman being. I am just a very strong dude that can fly. Where'd you come from? Don't worry about it. If Zod had never came to Earth, he could have passed himself off as just being Superman or a superhuman being. Zod outed him, and that was the problem. Zod outed him in front of the entire world. So this kid that was coming up, who was confused about why he could do the things that he could do or what he was supposed to do with these abilities, he ultimately didn't have a choice as to easing himself into society or just blending in. He doesn't have that option once Zod gets there. Now the question is, will Earth accept him? It's a pretty good plot. Those elements, the opening sequence, the question of accepting the existence of aliens and all of that good stuff, that was all fine. The only problem that I have up until that point is that Henry Cavill was not given enough to work with. The man doesn't emote anything except irritation and maybe slight puzzlement. That's it. A few times when he learns how to fly, the sequence when he learns how to fly, you actually see a smile on his face. You see some joy and some wonderment. Fine. I want more of that. The whole time that Jor-El is telling him the origin of his people, he's just in straight receive mode. He's just taking exposition and just asking a few questions, and that's it. There's no real, he doesn't look thunderstruck by anything. He doesn't look, even knowing that this is your father standing in front of you, he smiled a little bit when he initially introduced himself, like, you know, that's my father. They set Cavill up to be a block of wood, basically. I don't think he ever really got a chance to act. There was never much of an opportunity for him to just act. I think Christopher Reeves had a better chance. And that Superman Return was a joke, so I can't really speak on that. But I think probably one of my main issues with the entire movie is that Henry Cavill, who I think is a good actor, I don't know how good he is, but I haven't seen a lot of his movies, but he was not given a chance to do much acting with Clark / Superman. When we get to the issue of Zod making his play for terraforming the planet, I think it falls off a little bit there too, only because I think the scenes with the world engine and Superman stopping the world engine up until that point, I think were a bit bloated. The world engine sequence where he's over India fighting and trying to shut it down, I think that was, it looked like set up for a video game. That, I think it went on too long and it was a little bit bloated, so I didn't really care for that much. It had to be done, but it was a bit bloated. After that, the battle between Zod and Superman caught a lot of flack because of the whole disaster porn, as they call it, buildings falling and such. In reality, if two Kryptonians went at it, that's about what you're going to get in terms of destruction. I take issue with maybe the execution of the destruction, because I don't think buildings collapse that way. But that's just me. They tried to slip humor in there in little places where I think it really didn't belong, or they tried to slip emotional release or whatever, specifically Clark and Lois's first kiss. Their first kiss was on the dust and ashes of who knows how many humans that were obliterated. So he takes that time to decide that he's going to give his girlfriend a kiss and then crack a couple of jokes in between. I don't feel it. I don't feel it. Okay, that was just bad to me. Quickly after that, the final battle between Superman and Zod picks up, and again, I'm fine with that battle. People have a lot of issues with Superman killing Zod. I don't at all. He had to. Now, those people could have ran away, obviously. That's the bigger issue, to be honest with you. That setup was not good enough. They would have had to been pinned down with nowhere else to go. Okay? They could have just literally ran in the opposite direction of his heat vision. But they didn't, because he wanted to set up this big moral crisis of, do I snap this man's neck or not? He should have snapped his neck quicker than he did, actually, because he was about to kill people right in front of his face. Maybe he could have told him, don't do that, or I'm gonna kill you, whatever, and just give him a warning or something. But yeah, snap his neck, that's fine. So all in all, the resolution was fine. Execution of the resolution was a little bit off to me, but everything was fine except for Henry Cavill's, not his acting, but what he was allowed to do. But as a first contact movie, I think that was an excellent piece of work. I think it was very good. So I don't think it was better than Wonder Woman, but I think it was not that far behind. I say if Wonder Woman's an A, I would say Man of Steel was maybe a B-. So if you haven't seen Man of Steel, check it out. If you have seen it, maybe check it out again. Visually, it was good to look at, as most of Zack Snyder's movies are. It was good to look at, and it was a good take on a first contact movie. Again, next up, Suicide Squad. After that, Batman v Superman, and that'll be it. And then I'm going to try to tackle the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I'm going to have to condense that because there's too many of those movies to go around. That's it. Yeah, holla at you next time. Stay loose.